Welcome back, everybody, to Creative Real Estate Investing. This is entry number 8, and I've got a couple amazing guests on today. First off, we got Lauren Elaine. Are you still in Florida right now? Are you in Florida?
I am in Florida right now.
Okay. And then Norman Slye, he's in South Africa, literally in South Africa, but having an internet issue. So we're going to dig into a couple things. Now, Lauren, I was just talking to you about some experiences traveling earlier in your journey in your 20s, and I want to get to that in a second. But you just got back from Bali, and navigating some of your real estate stuff, and I think you maybe exited on a play. But tell me about what the Bali trip. What was that all about, and what was the purpose? Just to get away, or anything specific?
I've been going to Bali for the last, again, like 10 years. I love it there. I have a community of people there. So I try to go back every once in a while. I was doing real estate while I was over there as well. I put a property under contract in Sun Valley, Idaho while I was there. So
Nice.
had an exit before I left. And then, when I went last year as well for 4 months. And the initial impetus after that was coming off of like over 4 years of really grinding, working like 14 hours a day in real estate. And then I had an exit and needed a break and just totally disconnected for 4 months. And then this time it was more about integration and how to do real estate while living in a place like Bali or just traveling in general.
Okay, so in a couple paragraphs, real estate exits, under contract. What are the things that you're into? What's working? What's not working for you right now?
I'm under contract on a multifamily that will do long term in Sun Valley. I think the long term market's really strong right now in a lot of places. There's opportunity in creative financing right now. There's opportunity, I feel like, coming into storage as well. So, I think there's still a lot of opportunity. I know that a lot of people have kind of put a pause on purchasing, but there's definitely still opportunity to get creative in this market.
Okay, so multifamily storage. I guess was the exit you're referencing? Is it the horse farms, that stuff
Yeah.
in Florida and Ocala?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, cool. So traveling, in my mind, I have this idea of, okay, I'm going to go try to make some money, get ahead, and then have more time freedom to go travel, right? And you mentioned going to Bali for years, and you kind of flipped that on its rear end. Like, you started traveling early on
Yeah.
and didn't have all the things yet. So tell me about that journey in the beginning and the mindset, and how you were kind of going against the grain where others, were going in a different direction.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people say hustle in your 20s to like make money and then you can travel later in life. I did the opposite. I made just enough money in my 20s to pay for my travels, and then I would come back completely broke and have to work and build everything up again, and then I would make just enough money again and then go travel. And I recommend this to everyone because when you're in your 20s, you're like a sponge. You're absorbing so much information. And to be able to go somewhere halfway across the world from anybody you know and learn how to make friends, meet people, just get around. And it really teaches you all the life skills that I use today in real estate, like just going up, talking to people, networking, figuring out, like, I could be dropped anywhere in the world right now and I would be completely fine navigating. Like, I'm not scared of like being anywhere, and a lot of people have never experienced that. And so it's a really scary thought for them, like leaving the country. So yeah, it in my early 20s, I saved money and I would go travel. And now as a real estate investor, I'm trying to figure out a way to do that as a working person, because I think it's actually way harder now. I have way more responsibilities. I can't just disconnect. I didn't even have a phone for a few years in my early 20s, like when I was abroad. Like I was just really living off the grid. And now as someone in my mid 30s, it's like finding the balance of working hard and building up for my retirement and my life. And I don't want to come back broke anymore. So it's finding a way
Yep.
to do it and have it be sustainable and be able to sustain my lifestyle continuously throughout. And that's actually what led me to real estate, was because I loved traveling so much. And I was like, okay, I'm not ever going to be that person that's going to work a 9 to 5 and live that corporate life. So I need to figure out a way to have passive income. I was thinking about passive income from the time I was like 22, because I'm like, I need to figure out how to make money while I travel. And so I was thinking, oh, I'll get a job online. That was like way before people were working online. Blog posts were just starting to become a thing when I was traveling. And I knew some people that were making some money by writing blogs. But it was not very common for people to have online jobs. So for me, I was thinking, okay, what career can I do that will allow me to work online? And then later down the road, I realized passive income and real estate is the way to go.
So that you and I were talking about one of the trips you took to India,
Mhm.
and I guess how old were you at
I
that
was
time?
like 23.
Okay. So at that time, was passive income something that you were already doing, experimenting with? What was going on in your world at that point in time when you say, okay, I'm going to go take 2 weeks out
I
or months?
Yeah, it was months. I left for a few months. I had just graduated college, and I had already done some traveling before that. I had done a 3-month trip to Southeast Asia before that. But when I went to India, I was thinking, okay, now I'm post grad. How do I make money while traveling? But I didn't have money yet. I came back from India completely broke. I had just saved up enough money for that trip. So I was thinking about passive income, but I was a baby. I didn't know anything. I barely had life skills. The whole time I was in college, I was working in the restaurant industry. And so to the idea of getting an online job was like very foreign to me. So it took me quite a few years of going back and forth and coming back broke to figure out how to do that. But when I was in India, no, I was just living off the money I had saved, and luckily it's very cheap. I was choosing very cheap places to travel at that time. And then the way that I was traveling, I was staying in hostels, and they're very affordable, and taking buses when I went from one place to the next. So I was traveling very cheaply, which is another reason why I think it's important to travel when you're in your early 20s, because it's way more expensive for me to travel now because I'm just not willing to travel in the way that I was willing to do it in my early 20s. Not staying at a hostel now.
Yeah. So working in the restaurant industry, what were we talking about with avocados?
Oh, yeah, I was saying how I was working. So, yeah, before my first trip, I was working 3 jobs. I was working in a restaurant. I was also going to school. I was in college. And then I had 2 restaurant jobs, and then I was collecting avocados from people's backyards. This was in Santa Barbara. So there's avocado trees everywhere. And the restaurants will buy them for 25 cents an avocado. So I was selling avocados to the restaurants, and in exchange, they would give me store credit. And so whenever my friends would ask me, do you want to go out to eat? I would just only go to the places where I could use my store credit. And I was just saving every penny. I went from buying clothes every weekend. Like everyone would go to Forever 21. That was the cool store at that
Hmm.
time. We were younger than 21. And we would always be buying new clothes for going out, or we would be um, spending money on drinks or partying. Like even as a college student, you do have money that you kind of just like waste. And my parents, I didn't. my parents didn't pay for everything when I was in college. They paid for my rent and that was it. Everything else was my own expense that I had to pay for. So I was paying for my life and I realized how much money I was wasting. And every time I went to go like buy a new shirt or buy anything, I would be like, that's another day in Thailand. Like
Mhm. Counting.
$25, that's another day in Thailand. So that's I changed.
$25 a day.
Yeah. Oh
So
yeah,
what is
even
it?
meals.
What is that a month? What's 25 times 30?
I'm so bad at fast math.
750? 750?
Don't
No,
put me on
I
the
don't know.
spot.
I think it's 750. I could be wrong.
That
Okay.
sounds right. Let me see.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, 750. You're right.
Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, you can live so cheaply in these countries. Like a meal, you can get a big plate of food for $1. For a
Damn.
dollar. In South
That's
Africa,
unbelievable.
Norman will attest to this. I remember being in South Africa and I got a traditional breakfast, which is like it was like egg with beans and tomato and avocado and like a couple other random things with a latte for $3.25. I was like, what? And that's why it's so important to leave the US because you realize, especially if for people that are retirement age, your money goes so much further in other countries and the quality of life that you can have is so much better if you are on some sort of fixed income. So, yeah, when I was younger, I wanted to travel and I could spend months and spend less than I was spending on my rent.
Hmm. So that mentality, I know when I was in my 20s, I got out of college, I think at 22. I was working at the melting pot. I had also got another job working at a wine bar once a week. And then I got my first job in mortgage, my first big kid job working at Citibank. I think it was August of 2020, 2006. I was 23. And I was working 2 nights a week at the melting pot, 1 night a week at the wine bar and doing the day job. And I went to night school at college. So I kind of had a unique college experience and played baseball. Went to JUCO, played D3 baseball in night school. So I had this weird schedule. So like, I don't know, when you're in your 20s, you just have more energy. I was just going nonstop, sleeping very little, just I guess you say partying. But it
Mhm.
was so fun. And like the thought never crossed my mind, not one time to go, I'm gonna go to Brazil and spend a month or Southeast Asia. Just never crossed my mind. So
Mhm.
what implanted that seed when and how early on and why did you have the courage? Because like, I hear hostile and because you were alone, right? What
Yeah.
gave you the comfort of safety?
Nothing gave me the comfort of safety. In fact, everyone was telling me, you should do that. That's really dangerous. Like, nobody I knew was doing it. I don't know where I got this idea that I wanted to travel, but I was obsessed. I must have gotten a book or something because I do remember reading there was a book that was like how to travel on like a shoestring budget or something. It was like a travel book and I remember reading that trying to get ideas, but even from just a very young age I always had this dream of traveling. And then when I was working in the restaurant, there was a guy who was the bartender and he felt like way older to me. He was probably like 26 or 27. But I was like 20. Um, and he told me, you should go to Southeast Asia because it's really safe for women and it's really inexpensive. And so I was like, okay, I started looking at Bangkok. I was like, okay, I'm going to fly into Bangkok. And he told me, like, go to Koh San Road. That's where all the travelers are. And start there. So I saved up enough money to pay for my flight. I booked my flight like 2 weeks before I went. And when I got to the airport, I realized I didn't even book a place to stay. Like when I arrived, I didn't even have a place to stay. And I was in the airport leaving. And I was just like, I was in a mess. I was in tears. I was like, why am I leaving this really fun, cool life that I'm living in Santa Barbara? Santa Barbara is the most epic place to go to college. I mean, it was incredible. You're on the beach. and everybody's living in Isla Vista in this like beach town. All my friends, I had a house with my girlfriends. I moved out of that to save money to go traveling. Like I was making all these sacrifices for this thing that I hadn't even experienced really yet. And so I don't know where it came from, but I think I was looking around at my life and I was just like, okay, I've been partying for a few years now. And like, this is cool, but I always wanted more for my life. I always had this dream of having a much bigger life. And everybody else was super happy to continue partying for another few years. And I was just kind of looking around like, this is getting kind of boring. I want more. So when I was in that airport, I was looking back going, what am I doing? Why am I leaving? And I was scared. I was like, I don't know anybody there. What if I don't meet anyone? Like I could be alone. All of those fear thoughts going through my head. And as soon as I touched down in Bangkok, I was like, oh yeah, this is the best decision I've ever made in my life. Like immediately, I met a girl at the airport. As I was walking out, she just came up to me and she goes, where are you going? And I was like, somebody told me I should go to Koh San Road. And she was like, I'm going that direction. Like, let's share a cab. And I was like, okay. And so she took me to Koh San Road, dropped me off. And I don't know if you know what Koh San Road is, but basically it's this road in Bangkok where the streets are just all full of backpackers. Like you arrive and you're just surrounded by people that are young and traveling and vibrant. And there's restaurants and bars and little shops selling things and hostels everywhere. So I arrived and I was just like, oh my God, I'm not going to be alone at all. And I wasn't. I met some of my best friends to this day on that trip, and I'm still connected with them. And they're international. And it completely changed my life because even in the face of like the fear of it and the uncertainty and the unknown, I went for it. And I feel like at that young age, that just completely changed my brain chemistry. Like it wired
Ooh.
me to like taking the risk and being brave pays off.
Ooh. So dropping in, having those positive experiences, and like, okay, the validation is
Yeah.
that what you're saying?
Yeah. And I think that's it true of real estate as well. Like I want people when they first get into real estate, my first project, I felt all of those same exact experience feelings in that experience. Like I was a novice. I didn't know what I was doing. I bought a place sight unseen. I was like, "Oh my God, what am I doing?" I was way in way over my head. And then I had a huge win on that first one. And it was the same exact thing. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be doing this for the rest of my life. So when you have a big win like that, I think that positive reinforcement, like you're almost addicted to it at that point. And you believe that you'll win forever.
Because you and I were talking before about, when you were traveling in your early 20s and your friends just didn't get it.
Mm-mm, they did not.
So, so is you take that experience kind of going against the grain and then your real estate experience, because you're at that point, that's what, through, when did you get in? 2020,
Yeah,
2019, 21?
2020.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're around maybe 30 years old at that point in time. So your
Mhm.
circle of friends and family, was real estate something that was talked about in your circles? Was it not? Like, tell me a little bit about that part of it.
No, definitely not talked about. Nobody was doing real estate. Again, it started with a book. I bought a book and it was like the ABCs of tax, like saving money on taxes. And it's like this attorney who wrote his book that I bought on Amazon. I mean, it looks like it was homemade. And I don't know why I ordered it, but I was just in the sauna reading about taxes and how to save money on taxes.
You
And
were in the sauna reading a book?
oh yeah, I love to read in the
Okay.
sauna.
Okay. Okay.
It's one of my favorite things to do is like wake up in the morning, get in the sauna and start reading.
Okay. On a
Yeah.
tablet or a paper? Will the paper get wet, or does it not matter?
Paper and yes, actually all those books disintegrated because the glue on the back of the book like came apart. And I was like, why are these books so crappy? They're like disintegrate. And I was like, oh, it's because you're taking them in the sauna. Duh. But yeah, so I read these books and he was talking about the power of doing a 1031 exchange. And I was like, okay, yeah, I could probably do that. And then from there, I basically got into real estate, but I didn't know anyone. So then I started going to meetups and trying to build out a network because I had had that experience with traveling where I knew that you have to be around people. They'll give you advice and tell you what to do and what not to do. And to this day, none of my friends really are in real estate.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing, right? Is, this build wealth through real estate. If you do it and you do it long enough, there's a lot of success stories, right? Of massive wealth that you can build, but it's just, there are some roadblocks and some hurdles to overcome to get into the game. And so my first question of getting into the game for you is, when you were taking that chance, like how much money did you need to have built up to acquire that first property? And what were you doing to build a stockpile cash?
So, yeah, so I was part of the COVID era of investors. I feel like we're like a cohort. um, that it was a frenzy kind of time. It was like at first it was uncertain. The whole market paused at first during COVID. And during that time I was working construction in Alaska. I had just come back from Bali. I had planned a retreat. The retreat was scheduled for right when COVID hit. So I was in Bali at the beginning of COVID and I had to cancel my retreat. I had already paid for everything and you don't get your
Mm,
deposits back in Bali.
mm,
It's not
mm.
like the US. They don't have that money anymore. And so I was really bummed because I had given a refund to everybody that had purchased a ticket, obviously, and but had already paid for everything. So I was at a loss at that point in time. And so I was like, all right, time to do this again, go back to the US, make money. I went to Alaska and I was doing construction. And
What does that mean? What does that mean?
there's a lot of
Like lifting things, running machines, planning,
so I was actually doing
engineering.
a commercial roofing job. So in Alaska, as a female, they have to meet a quota and you're almost guaranteed to get a job. And a lot of times it's road construction. You're just like holding the sign, like the stop sign or whatever. You get the easiest jobs.
Okay.
You're not really like doing anything. You don't have to have skills. Like it's so easy and you get paid really well. And it's seasonal because they're not really doing much construction in the wintertime. And so they really need people for those months where they're on because it's such a short season. And then you have to meet the quota. So as a female, you're pretty much guaranteed a job. I was doing commercial roofing and basically running this machine for the commercial roofing.
Did you live in Florida at the time? Where did you live
I
at the
didn't
time?
live in Florida at that time.
Oh,
I had
okay.
never, yeah, I hadn't been to Florida at that point in time. I chose Florida because I wanted to invest in real estate and everything on the West Coast was too expensive for me. I had lived in California and Hawaii and Alaska, and I didn't want to do it in Alaska because the weather is too extreme. So I chose Florida for investing. I mean, I looked at Salt Lake City, I looked at all these different markets, and I was planning on moving somewhere just specifically for investing.
Okay. Yeah. I did not know you were in construction. I had no idea.
I
That's
mean,
that's
I would use
crazy.
that term loosely because I have no skills. Like I'm not in construction. I
Hey,
just was,
it sounds sexy, right? I mean, put on that hat and the vest, I'm sure.
yeah. Hmm.
So working in Alaska, does that mean like higher wages because you're in a, remote area?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So by the end of that summer, plus I, during that time in Bali, I was getting like unemployment because I was working as a dietitian before. So I was getting unemployment, but I wasn't collecting on it because it was weird during COVID and everything. And I was in Bali, so it wasn't working for me. So when I came back, all that money that I had during the time where I wasn't working was just sitting there. And then I went and did this other job. So I put those two like chunks of money together and I bought a place in Florida for like $50,000 cash.
No shit. Okay.
That was the whole house. I bought a whole house for $50,000.
Okay.
It was in a swamp. It was so in an area I didn't know really anything about. I bought it sight unseen. It was a mess. It had a hole in the roof. The electrical was bad. It was just like, but the house was concrete block. And that was the saving grace, was that actually it was a really well constructed house. It had cedar framing in it. So I got really lucky in that regard. And then the timing of the market, and I used a hard money loan for the construction and made a bunch of mistakes, but I still made money, a good amount of money on that. And so I was hooked after that.
Mm-hmm. That's one of the things that I talk about just in general. Okay, you've got this kind of COVID, wave. The markets have, changed directions and more stagnated. Properties are sitting on the market longer. I mean, rents are still steady for the most part, I think. And so you've pivoted, right? You pivoted into, you mentioned multifamily. So what's your long-term goal or vision with all this? Just
To
continue
just
to acquire, or?
Yeah, I want to keep acquiring. I want to keep growing. I mean, I am still acquiring at the moment. I have short-term rentals. I've done very niche equestrian properties, storage. So, and now I'm doing a multifamily, and I really feel like there's opportunity in every market, and you just have to look at what's working. So during COVID, I was doing short-term rentals, and that was working at that point in time. And I would still do a short-term rental, but you have to get you make your money on the purchase. So it's really just about finding properties where the value is there on the purchase. And so long-term rentals, I think, are great for right now in the uncertainty of the market. I feel really safe. I'm very risk averse, actually. And so long-term
You
rental.
just plopped yourself as a 20-year-old into Southeast
I know.
Asia.
But I
Is your
cried the
definition
whole way.
different than Okay, risk averse. Okay, so meaning you want to be very educated and do all the initial analysis and planning
Mhm.
at the point of purchase. Is that what you're saying by risk averse? Or what do you mean by risk averse?
I mean, I'm doing something. I like to know everything, almost like a little bit of a control freak. Like I want to know all of the details beforehand versus, so I have two minority partners in this, and they're way more like, this seems like a great deal. Let's do it. And I'm looking at the numbers and I'm like, wait a minute, we have to make sure these numbers make sense. And so I'm like going through things with a fine-tooth comb. And I'm not really one of those people who's just like, let's just go for it. Even though it seems like I'm that person, I'm really not. So I feel like long-term rentals, something where the numbers are going to make sense. So if you're in something that you don't know, like, oh, I think this is probably what I could rent it for after, but you don't really know. Some people are like good with that. I wouldn't be. I would be like, I need to talk to 10 people who are doing this and ask them what they're renting for. So when I mean risk averse, I mean this long-term multifamily that I'm doing is so well within my scope. I feel like I could do it in my sleep because
Okay.
it's just going in, renovating the units, getting long-term tenants, renting it up. So I'm choosing properties that I feel really comfortable are within my skill set.
Are you okay if I dig a little bit deeper on this deal?
Mm-hmm.
Talk numbers,
Yeah.
underwrite the deal. Okay. I want to ask one question going backwards. You mentioned made some mistakes on that 50K cash purchase, hard money for the renovations. What's one mistake that, okay, you did that, but you learned not to do again? That was a big deal.
Well, the first mistake I made was giving a large deposit to a contractor I never worked with. So I ended up losing that money, didn't end up working with that contractor. They just took the money and ran. And then Construction wise, I feel like, I don't know if I made any like construction mistakes. It's really just about the people you work with, like paying people before they've actually done the work. If you haven't worked with them before,
Mhm.
in Florida, that happens a lot where you pay people and then they just never show up again.
Uh,
Yeah.
okay. So when I think of underwriting a deal, I have certain vision of kind of the math and, the NOI and cap rates and all this stuff. But when you're looking at a deal, what's your order of operations and priority of looking at the numbers?
So cap rate doesn't mean much to me. I feel like it's something that actually like my partners were talking about a lot. They're like, it looks like a good cap rate. And I was like, cap rate doesn't mean anything. Like it's it's great for like initially viewing a property, but when you start getting into construction costs, operating costs, and then what you're going to be able to rent it for, cap rate really doesn't factor in because all of those numbers are subjective to do you have a mortgage or do you not have a mortgage?
Hmm.
So, so yeah, I look at basically expenses and operating costs and then what the income is going to be and does that pencil in, and then obviously construction costs. And I think that construction costs are where most people make their mistakes because they underestimate how much it's going to cost and then they are upside down in the deal before they've even started making income.
So when you because didn't you say you went under contract on the deal while you were in Bali?
Yeah.
Okay. And have you ever done a deal up in Idaho before?
No.
So how do you get comfortability in that market? Is it
So
contacts?
I have two minority partners on the deal and I probably, yeah, I think just having people that I know and trust. I've known them for
Okay.
years. Well, one of them. And so it is a bit of a leap of faith because we actually haven't worked together, but they also are in real estate and do other things. So, having people that you trust, then you're able to go into markets that they know that you don't know. So I don't know that market, but I do know ski towns and I grew up in Idaho. So I'm not wholly unfamiliar with the place, but I don't know real estate. But then I called people. I reached out to my network and I talked with someone who does commercial real estate investing there, another person who's lived there for like 25 years. So I just reach out to my network and I start gathering information about the town and what they need and what's going to work there. And they're at they're desperate for long-term rentals.
Mm.
So I
Okay.
just was
Okay.
like, okay, this is a pretty safe bet.
Are you able to walk us through kind of, you don't have to give us exact numbers, right? But just, okay, acquisition price to renovation cost to cash flow, like what are some of your targets on this deal?
So I have it all written down. Let me see. Let me pull up my thing. So it's 5 units. The purchase price is 950.
Hmm.
Um, the there are 411 units and one two bedroom unit. So the one ones will rent from anywhere from like 1,200 to 2,000, depending on kind of like the quality. There's a
Oh,
quite
wow.
a
Okay.
range there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my target is to rent these out for at least 1,500. And then the two bedroom will rent out for 2,000, but probably could rent out for 2,500. But I like to estimate on the low end, so I would say like 2,000. So the property will bring in um, around 8,000.
Copy. Okay.
So renovation costs will be there. We're doing a few phases to the renovation. So the inside is actually in pretty decent condition. All the bathrooms have been somewhat recently updated. So it's really like go in, paint, zhuzh it up. It's more of like a lipstick kind of
Okay.
renovation than a
Nothing
full
major.
major facelift. Like the plumbing is mostly good and everything. Um, there are a few things that will happen in like a phase two, which is there is a part of the plumbing that is like near the tree that's growing up in the roots. Eventually that'll have to be fixed. But for now, it's operating. But I know that like I know that down the road that'll be an issue eventually.
Okay.
Um, and then in a cold climate, you have to factor in like snow removal costs and that kind of thing.
Okay.
So the big question is the interest rate that we'll get for our financing. So we're going to finance 50%. And
Hmm.
it's looking like it'll be around a 7% interest rate, probably.
Hmm.
I haven't got confirmation yet fully on the interest rate. So the cash flow of the property is it could be anywhere from a few thousand. Oh, and the main thing is that the back, this is all on the front part of the property. The back part of the property is all available for development.
Oh.
So yeah,
Oh. How many acres is the total plot?
it's not even a full acre,
Okay.
but I don't remember what the size of the lot is. I think it's like point. It's
But
probably
it
like half an acre. Uh,
but it's zoned up to how much total? I guess is that the right question? Zoned up to how many units total?
yeah, so it's zoned to have 12 more units.
12 more. So
Yes,
like
and
5
it's
plus 12.
and it's in a
Damn.
commercial zone as well, so it could be commercial on the bottom plus like 12 units. The construction is parking, so you have to figure out the parking, but looking at it, there's an alley, and so there's a way to add parking in the back as part of it as well. Um, yeah, so a lot of opportunity for future development, and in the meantime, it's not going to be a big cash flow. I'm not thinking like, oh, I'm going to make a lot of money on it, but it'll more than pay for itself.
Because that's what I was going to ask you, right? I mean, because like the reason why I don't stock trade, I'm so impatient. I just can't sit and wait, right?
Hmm.
And real estate is a long term play. So as I built my portfolio, I was focused on my day job, which is the mortgage business I was doing, and so that's what kept me focused and busy. And the real estate stuff was just going to just continue to do it, let it do its thing. And I was buying one primary residence at a time, turning the old one to rental, and then over time got into a few other things. So what do you focus on a daily basis that keeps you, because again, real estate's a long-term game. It's a slow game. Marco Shira, who's having a live right now as well, supporter of the show, he always talks about the 5 years of suck,
Hmm.
getting that first 5 years through, and then you start to see doors open. So what keeps you occupied to be patient and let this stuff grow? What are you working on a daily basis that keeps you going?
Well, I do real estate full time. So, but I also am looking at buying a business. So I will potentially do that before the end of this year as well. Um, but you're right. There is a, a long-term aspect to the real estate. And it depends on also what kind of real estate you're doing. So a lot of the real estate I've done in the past is real estate, but it's also a business. It's got daily operations, like short-term rentals. They're very much a business. They're not passive. So I spend a lot of my time on the daily operations of those
Hmm.
projects, and then the equestrian properties as well were very day-to-day demanding. Now that I've moved out of the equestrian properties, I feel like I have space and time to buy a business. That's why I'm looking at that. But I feel like there are two questions that I look at with each property, which is, does this property cash flow or is it going to be an equity growth? And in the beginning of my real estate journey, I was focused on cash flow. So that's why I like short-term rentals. You're able to achieve much greater returns, and if you're in the right market and you get the right place. So I was actually making cash flow immediately off of my Airbnbs from day one.
Were those in Florida? I
Yeah.
forget. Okay.
But this property is more of an equity play. It's definitely a long-term project that will grow over time, but is not going to be something that I'll be focusing on for cash flow.
Okay. So one of the things that I remember, we were on a live with Mark and a few others, and I can't remember what sparked the conversation, introvert, extrovert, and it was, what do you guys think Joel is? Extrovert, extrovert, and you were like, no, I think he's an introvert who acts like an extrovert. I was like, that's very astute. Okay. So you knowing you for a while now, you're very good at reading people. So does that skill play into evaluating, people, contractors, partners, deals, how does that factor in?
Oh my gosh, I think it's probably one of the most important skills that you can have is reading people and understanding people, because when you're purchasing a property, understanding the seller's motivation gives you a huge advantage in the negotiation. My favorite book is Never Split the Difference by the FBI hostage
Oh,
negotiator.
that's right. Is it Nathan Ross or something like that? Or
Chris Voss.
Voss?
Yeah, Chris Voss.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Cool.
It's such a good book. It's just one of those books where I open it up and I go back and I'm like, oh yeah, that little nugget. Like there's so much practical application in that book and I use it all the time. And so it's my favorite book. And I think it just teaches you how to understand people or just how to listen. Honestly, it's really about like active listening. Um, and that'll help you any area of life, whether it's real estate or in your personal relationships. Like it's so valuable. I don't think there's anything more important because we are only our relationships. Like for me, my friends are everything. My family is really important. Any success I've had is not because I'm very smart. It's because I've surrounded myself with people who've shared their knowledge and information with me. Like I'm not that smart. You saw me when you asked about the fast math and I'm like, oh, I don't know.
Is there a nugget that stands out in that book? Like a
One
strategy?
thing I think about is because I had read another book that always said in negotiating, like get 3 yeses. So you ask a question, and they say that they're going to say yes to, and you get a few yeses, and then on the tail end of that, you ask the third question is the one that you want them to say yes to, and they're more likely to say yes because they've said yes previously. This book is like that's completely false. Yeah.
Wait, hold on. We got Norman. They said so. Voss says it's false.
Mm-hmm. He
What's up,
made
Norman?
it.
I'm sorry, you guys. I'm so sorry.
Good to see you, man. Well, we were just talking about a book called "Split the Difference,"
Never
which is
spoke the
by
difference.
Never Split the Difference. So, what was the last thing you were saying?
Yeah.
So, Chris Voss, FBI, etc.
Yeah.
Negotiations.
So I'm sure you've heard this, Norman, where people say like get 3 yeses, or like when you're trying to negotiate, you ask somebody a question that they're going to say yes to, and then another question they're going to say yes to, and then on the third question, the idea was that they're more likely to say yes because they've already given you 2 previous yeses. But in this book, he says that's complete bullshit, and that actually asking no calibrated questions, you're more likely to get the response that you want because people are more quick to say no. Like if you call someone on the phone and you say, "Hey, are you available?" They're going, "Available for what? How long is this going to take?" Like it's a lot harder to get a yes to that versus if you call them and you say, hey, is this a bad time? And they go, no, it's not a bad time. What's going on? Like, they're more likely to say no. Like, we are, as individuals, have a propensity to want to say no, but if we are uncertain about what it is you're asking. So that's one of the big things where, you know, I've read all these books about negotiating, and then that book has just turned it on its head, or it's like what we previously thought. And when you look at his track record, he's so successful in his negotiating that you're like, okay, I'm going to give this some thought and I'm going to try this out. And I feel like in my experience, all of that has been true and very useful.
Yeah, I would agree. I would definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the follow-ups for yeses actually work, and I've learned that through like the bold classes throughout Keller Williams working there. When I was working there, they kind of teach us how to, you know, make sure we have follow-up questions to kind of get those yeses.
Are you at an airport, Norman?
No, I'm at Starbucks.
Oh.
So yeah, quick intro, Norman. You know, you and I have known each other for, I don't know, almost 10 years in real estate, doing business in the DMV, and you're in Johannesburg. And literally, I saw your video, you walking with lions. I was scared for you. I was like, man, I hope he shows up tomorrow, doesn't get eaten by a lion. And I was like, should I put a poll out there, or is it too soon? Anyway, so what's going on with you, man?
Listen, I'm really trying to invest in Johannesburg. I mean, looking at real estate in America versus real estate here, it's Lauren Joe is a no-brainer.
What about it is a no-brainer?
The fact that the U.S. dollar goes a lot further here. Like one of our dollars is 17 and a half of their dollars.
Mm-hmm.
So looking at the type of properties that I sell back in the U.S. versus purchasing something here, my money will go further actually.
And are the rents strong so you can rent it out? And
rents, Airbnb, I mean, they are Airbnb crazy over here.
Okay.
I mean, when I look at the homes, like the home that I'm renting now, it's like a 6-bedroom, sits on like an acre of land. I believe we paid like maybe $1,000 for 10 days.
Mm-hmm.
Our next Airbnb is once we fly to Cape Town and then Durban. We'll be in Cape Town for 5 days. So we're like right near the water, right at the water. We come out our balcony, look at the water, and that was about maybe $500 for about 8 days. So, yeah. I mean, Airbnb is really popping over here. For me, that's kind of what I would want to do. Invest in it, you know, live over here at least maybe 4 to 6 months out of the year, you know. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. The best seafood I ever ate was in Cape Town, and I could not believe how we got like a huge platter of the most incredible. Like, it was so fresh. It was so delicious. I'd never tasted anything like it. And it was less than $100. And it was just overflowing with seafood. It was great. I was like, it's so cheap.
Yeah, listen, I'm here for my birthday, right? But my birthday was on the 8th. I just brought my 2 favorite aunts with me to Africa for the first time. I've been here for 5 times. This is my 5th time in 3 years. So when I say I am South African hook, I am South African hook. Yeah. So their mind is blown as well too when it comes to the quantity of food you get for the, you know, little bit of money that we pay. So they're blown away as well too.
Mm-hmm. Do you worry about safety at all with your Airbnbs?
No,
if you were an owner or something?
No. Honestly, the Airbnbs that I've been kind of renting out are the Airbnbs in areas that I'm looking to invest into, right? So those owners, what I do is I go back through their Airbnb reviews that stems back maybe 2-3 years, right? And it's all safety is everything. But to answer your question, how do I feel about safety? I feel more safe here than back home.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the weirdest thing I can say, but I just feel like here you're not watching over your back. They're not looking at you twice. They may look at you once and keep it moving.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like they like got a microscope on you.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
then a lot they very I feel like this. I feel like when they hear our American accent, it's they want to give you concierge service. And who doesn't want concierge service?
Yeah. I had a woman when I was in South Africa follow me into the bathroom and she goes, "I'm so sorry, but do you have an American accent?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do." She was like, "Oh my gosh, I love the American accent." She was like so excited to hear my accent and hear me talk. And I was just like, "Oh, this is nice to be that my accent is interesting to you."
I get that a lot over here. They all the servers, like any
Mhm.
restaurant you go to, like even in this Starbucks. And now this, I'm in an area right now called Bryanston. It's in the Sandton area of Johannesburg. So I come to this Starbucks all the time, and it's like when they hear you, when they say, "Can I take your order?" and they hear us ordering like something just as small as a venti mocha frap. When they hear us say that, they like, "Say it again."
Like it's Michael Jordan.
Yeah, it's a vibe over here. I would just highly invest. I mean, I would highly invest. I mean, I have been since I've come here the last 5 times in 3 years. I've told a lot of people about investing into South Africa. It makes all of the sense to me.
Hmm.
I
Well,
mean,
I
yeah, the
think what's
government is a little corrupt though, but that's no different from back home.
Yeah.
well, what's so cool about this is, we're all here talking about real estate in terms of just the commonality. And, Lauren was on talking earlier about how she was in Bali putting an offer and a property under contract in Idaho. And Norman and I were talking about a client while he's in South Africa, talking about a buyer and trying to see if they can put an offer on a property. And he's got partners that helped out. And it's just like, even if you're 8,000 miles away in real estate, you can still get shit done.
Yeah. If you have the right people around you, you can do anything.
Hmm. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I have a really good real estate agent here that I met 2 years ago, and he's been a lot of help. I mean, he's South African. He's a South African resident. He was born here, but when I say he's been very helpful, any information I need, any lenders I needed to speak with about the rates for financing versus just putting cash down, he's given me all of that. I was going to have him jump on, but he had an appointment at 5 o'clock,
Oh,
so he
okay.
really couldn't jump on.
So an American with no residency there, can they get financing to buy a property over there?
Yeah, they can.
Wow,
It's really easy.
interesting.
Wow.
I was
It's
just looking
really,
at the population growth rate. I think it's like 1.4% year over year. United States is like 0.7, 0.8. So it sounds like there's still a lot of growth happening over there, relatively speaking. I mean, what are you seeing? Being there a couple times recently, what are you seeing in terms of just moving and shaking, construction, building? What's going on over in that area?
they are building up. I don't. This is how I say. I feel like in the next couple of years, the South African dollar is going to be close to where we at. I want to say within the next like 10 years, because I'm seeing like I'm seeing it for the first time in 2023, 2024, and this year. And coming being here 6 months ago and looking now and still driving the same areas, even the countryside and the suburbs, they building like crazy. So to me, something is going down that I really need to invest in.
Hmm.
We can keep talking about it to people, but I feel like when they see me do it, when I announce that it's done, then that's what's going to skyrocket everybody that's in my sphere influence to purchase over here.
Hmm.
They know
Well,
They know this is my fifth time coming, but
Yeah.
They know I'm buying something right around the corner. I'm buying something.
Because you said our dollar goes, 17 and a half to 1, right? And Lauren was talking about her first real estate transaction that was a rental. She bought it in Florida for 50K in cash, put some work into it. And it's like just getting into the game and getting that time clock going and you're in the compounding going and the experience. So like what would be an example of a price point, an entry level price point in that area?
So in Santon, you can look at it like this. In Santon, you can get a 2-bedroom, 2 full bath condo on either level in like a garden style apartment for about 50,000 US dollars or 55,000 US dollars, depending on what you decide you want to invest in. The areas that I've kind of concentrated on is Santon, Four Ways. There's an area where I'm at right now, and it's called Bryanston. And there's another area called Rosebank. Really, really nice. Those 4 locations for condos range anywhere from starting at a 2-bedroom, range anywhere from 50 to 70,000 US dollars. I mean, you get free parking, you get amenities out the yin yang, right? Um, I mean, when I say secure, it is secure. Nobody can get to you or your guests without going through the security at the front gate. And if they're not clear to go through, they won't get in. Now, let's just say like houses. I'm looking into purchasing a 3-bedroom, two, 2.5 bath house, and that's going to be about 130 US dollars, right? And that's in an area called Paulsif. It's a Santon suburb, but it's called Paulsif, Pausouf. That's a really nice suburb too. Um, yeah, so there's a site called Property 24. If you look at property24.com, that website, you'll see a lot of properties on there around like the Joburg area. It's called www.property24.com. And when you see the conversion, they ran to our dollar, you're gonna be like, oh wow, let me stack my damn money so I could really make a move for the future. And it's an investment. It's a good investment. I wish I had done this in 2020 when I had so much money in my account. I wish
Yeah.
I had, but yeah, I mean, I love it. I mean, I feel like it's home to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Someday.
know that
Someday.
feeling. It's good to have a place outside the US. It's great to be in the US, earn US dollars, and be able to put those into another economy where things are growing and there's a lot of upside potential. And you can just live a better lifestyle too. Like the day-to-day life, for if you're there 4 months out of the year, you're living like a king and able to not worry about your finances while you're doing it because everything's so affordable.
So affordable. I mean, this place blew my mind. I mean, I feel like it's a Washington D.C. with the suburbs of like Arlington,
Mm.
Alexandria, Virginia, the Maryland area. Just any major city with the suburbs surrounding it, you can actually equate it to. I feel like here. I think anybody from the U.S. will come here and say, "Wow, this seems like home."
Mm-hmm.
Except for the Lions.
Well, listen, to Joe. You have to take a 2-hour ride to see the lot to walk with the lions.
I mean, I was so scared. Oh my God, man. So you weren't scared at all?
I was nervous. No, what I was really nervous about was walking up on the cheetah and letting the cheetah like seeing what it actually feels like when they lick your hand. It feels like sandpaper.
Oh,
It really feels like sandpaper. It was amazing. I mean, it was so amazing. I would say probably this is my 5th time being here was probably is the best time of all the times I've been here. Yeah, we had a ball. And we still got more to see. We'll head to Cape Town on Tuesday, and we'll be there for 5 days, and then we'll leave there on Tuesday, and then fly to Durban, and we'll be in Durban for 2 weeks.
Oh,
So I won't be back until like July the 7th.
Nice.
All right, my fellow Gemini, June 8th. I'm May 25th. Lauren, when's your birthday? You're probably
December
February.
20th.
Oh, you're December. Oh, okay, December.
Oh, okay.
Sagittarius.
So look, Lauren,
Is that a Sagittarius? Okay.
So Lauren, if you come to South Africa during your birthday, you know it's gonna be warm, right?
Yes. Yeah. I've been to South Africa one time, and it was during December. Yeah, I think it was in December. And I did a safari while I was there. And maybe it was like even November when I left. But it was all the little babies were being born. Like it was spring, like towards the end of spring going into summer. And I was just like, oh my God, so incredible doing a safari, being in a place where everything is like completely the opposite of the US, like animal wise.
Yeah, we lost Norman, but I was Googling or searching online to try to figure out, okay, what's the comparative parallel latitude of South Africa versus the United States in terms of like weather? Because like, I mean, wintertime in St. Louis, like it's cold. It's like 30 degrees, maybe snow. And he's outside with short sleeve shirts on. I'm like, okay, what's that comparative to? Is it like a Texas or Georgia?
Yeah, what is it?
In the winter? It's at the 35th parallel, but I didn't get enough research in to figure out where that was on the United States.
I feel like it's not. Yeah, I haven't been there in their winter, so I don't know, but I don't feel like it gets that cold.
Okay, so 35th parallel is like Oklahoma to Tennessee.
Oh, that is
to like, so it's, I guess that makes sense in terms of comparative.
Yeah, Oklahoma's cold.
Okay. So real estate, getting out of the matrix.
Yeah.
What's the dating? Are you single? You're engaged? No. What's dating like as a real estate investor, as a woman? Because percentage wise, I mean, I guess it's probably not as big of a percentage of women that are in real estate. What's that like?
Yeah, there's not a lot of women in real estate, and I'm not engaged. I am single. I don't know if there's much crossover in dating in real estate because I mean, I feel like there should be like going to conferences. If you want to meet a bunch of men, just go to a real estate conference because there are no women there. It's all men. So I feel like it could actually be a dating play. Like if you're a single woman, just go to these conferences and you'll meet some men that are, thinking about their future, investing, like obviously have some sort of financial sense to them. Like I think it could actually be a whole strategy.
Create your own little dating website.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so when you were mentioning doing a retreat to Bali, got canceled like during that COVID timeframe, what was that retreat going to be on?
It was a wellness retreat. So it was for Mark's plug-in One Rental at a Time conference. Yes.
So Mark,
I will be there at the next one. I promise. And Joel.
Yeah. I oh shit.
Uh-oh, we got technical difficulties. I forgot what it was that you asked me, actually.
Oh, I'll get to that more. I'll bring it up in a second. Okay. So Mark and I, Norman's back. All right. We got Norman back, but I don't see him anyway. So Mark and I have this running joke of, because I played D3 baseball And then I pitched in a men's league, and he played baseball in high school. This running joke of, I'm going to strike you. I'm going to get to Vegas. I'm going to go find a baseball field. I'm going to strike you out. So I made a little meme. I wish I had it on my computer that I could share it, but maybe next time. But yeah, I'll be there, and I'll start promoting this little strikeout little competition. And so I'm going to be guilting myself to be there in Vegas. So Norman, are you there? Norman?
Mark, I never got that invite for Joel's event in Florida. Still waiting for it to come in the mail.
Yeah, that's a different story. Man, the property's still there. There's actually an open weekend in end of July. Get a little real estate group. Okay, hold on.
Oh, we lost Norman again.
I'm back on another line.
Okay, cool. Well, just in time for me to reiterate my question back to Lauren is, being in real estate and creating wealth and doing this thing, which there aren't that many women out there doing it percentage-wise. And we're joking that, from a real estate conference standpoint, it's mostly guys, wealth, type of mentality. Maybe a good little, play for single women to go try to find some, well-off men at these real estate conferences. But my question to you, Lauren, is how is the dating life, being in real estate?
I think it's probably the same as any other industry that you're in. Grim, bleak. No.
Shit.
No, I mean, I actually, no, I think it's probably better being in real estate. I feel like a lot of my friends only interact with men. They have like a few male coworkers, depending, I have friends that are nurses and they're in female dominated spheres. And so then it's harder for them to meet men. Whereas I feel like I'm surrounded by men all day, every day in what I do. So I do think that going to conferences and being in real estate, is a great way to meet men and like handy men too, like men that are either financially literate or they can help you hang some pictures. They're just, I feel like men can be so useful, but you have to put them to work. I feel like men get, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like men have value in being useful and giving value. If you make a man feel like he has no value in your life. And I think this is something that for me as a financially independent woman, I've been in relationships where they're like, oh, you're actually more successful than me, so I don't want to date you. But that's before being in any kind of relationship. I feel like on a day-to-day basis, if you make somebody feel like they have value, whether it's a man or a woman, if you feel like you're really valuable to me in my life and not just on a superficial level, but just I really appreciate you, then it builds their confidence. I feel like I would feel the same way in a relationship, building up each other's confidence. So I think it's great. I would love to be in a relationship with somebody who's in the real estate realm, because it is such a frame of mind. It's it's a mindset. And I think it's important to be with somebody who's on the same page financially. You are saving your money to buy real estate properties. And if somebody's not on the same page as you on that, then they're going to be over here spending money on things that don't align with your values. So I feel like real estate's a value, it's a mindset, and you kind of got to be on the same page. So I feel like it's kind of I couldn't imagine being with somebody who's not in the real estate realm. What do you think, Norman? Are you single? Are you dating?
No, I'm married.
Oh, you're married. So what does your wife feel about South Africa? Is she into it?
Well, my husband, he's Nigerian.
Oh, I'm sorry. I made an assumption.
You mind? I met him 3 years ago when I actually traveled here for the first time.
Oh, shit.
So he's living in South Africa.
Yeah, he's been living in South Africa for the last 6 years.
Cool.
Oh, okay. Does that help you in like getting a mortgage and that kind of stuff, or would you be able to do that even without his like
Well, I'm gonna tell
residence?
you, I wouldn't have been a. We just got a joint account about 2 days ago. So of course I needed a South African account anyway to transfer money from the my US account into the South African account to purchase the property. So
Okay.
I needed a South African bank account anyway. Um, so we just created that yesterday, and I needed him to do that so that I can move money from there to here for the purchase and property aspect of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we met 3 years ago, and he's an entrepreneur too. He's building houses in Nigeria as well right now, actually.
Oh,
So,
so
yeah, he
he's
makes.
handy too. So you know.
Yeah, you know what, Lauren? I'm gonna tell you. Before I met him, like I've been single for about since 2014, right? And just when you're going through life and you go through these relationships and you're trying to, fine tune yourself for the next person that comes into your life. The thing was, I said I wanted to date somebody that was on the same page, get to know someone's on the same page, someone that has that entrepreneurial mindset.
Hmm.
That's a hustler.
Mm-hmm.
And I met him, wasn't even thinking about getting to know him, right? And after starting to get to know him, I mean, blew my mind, blew my mind. And then
Yeah.
the more we talked, I've been traveling back and forth just to, to explore South Africa, but as well to get to know him a lot better. And I asked him to marry me.
Fuck
It
yeah.
was just
Oh.
like it was. It was amazing. It's amazing. He's an amazing man. He's really an amazing man. I wouldn't take back Murray.
So would he ever come live with you in DC part of the year, or will you be like together when you're in South Africa, or how are you going to split your time? Because he's also working in Nigeria. So,
Right. So the plan is for us to kind of do all the paperwork and stuff to kind of get him, over to the US, and that will, because his mom lives in Texas right now. So the plan would be he will eventually stay with me and
mhm.
kind of get his footprinting down in DC area, and then we'll just be traveling back and forth because our plans is we're going to put our money together, buy up some stuff in Nigeria. I mean, buy up some stuff in South Africa. That's the plan.
Mhm.
Now I know with him, he has the real estate mindset. It just blew me away that to see him handling business, and he's only 35 and I'm 47.
Yeah.
No, dude, I didn't know you were 47. Shit.
I just turned
Dude.
47 on the 8th.
Woo! Damn.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
look like you're like 32.
I know. Well, I love this conversation because like you mentioned single since 2014, and like I just got divorced. I met this person when I was 26. She was 23. We were together for 15 years. Polar opposites. Like when I met her, I was working in sales, working lots of hours. Like that's just who I am. Like I'm trying to get ahead to be able to take back more time from before. And so yeah, next time around I'll do it differently. My younger brother, he married his husband 2 years ago, and my brother's in sales. His husband Nate also in sales, and they're different but have a lot of similarities, and like that they just vibe, right? And just like the opposites attract kind of a thing. Like if it's two polar opposites, it's just hard. Looking back on it, it just doesn't work. Like in my world, we had no business. She was a therapist. Like we had no business conversations. Like I was in my own silo. So having that ability to be able to connect with somebody at a different level, I just think that's so valuable.
Yeah. It's great when you can have shared aligned goals that you're working towards. And in order to do that, you kind of have to have those business conversations. If somebody's not on that vision, then it's hard for them to want to make the sacrifices necessary for that shared for your vision if they don't share it.
Yeah, that I agree. I mean, I feel like everything just has to align. Like I think being in real estate since 2013, since 2014, actually, you know, and coming from working the 8-hour job and things like that, you know, this is just, I think real estate is just a level of freedom, or anything that people are doing in that field is a level of freedom, and you on your own time. So it just makes sense to kind of get with somebody that whose goals are similar when it comes to whether I'm in real estate, they're a loan officer, or you know, they're a loan officer, I'm an appraiser. It has to really mesh well, because I think when it mesh well, y'all goals become one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you could blow the roof off this damn world if you found, if that person just really did, just if that let me say this, don't go looking for the person. I'll tell you that I did not go looking for this person. I just said, this is the person that I want to call my next.
Yeah.
I literally said that, and I said that way before meeting him 3 years ago, and I'm wild out. I think I'm more wild out that he's 35 years old with a mature ass soul.
So did you guys meet on a dating app, or did you meet in real life?
No. So the first Airbnb we all stayed at, it was a group of us. It was a destination birthday trip for my mentee that I got into real estate. I was like maybe 14 of us, men, women. I think maybe 3 or 4 of us was gay. Everybody else was pretty much straight. The host that owned the Airbnb, or that was running the Airbnb, I asked her one day. We came from a safari, and we was exhausted, right? I said, is there someone you can send me who does massages, professional massages? And lo and behold, she referred me to him. I had him come to the house, and when I seen him walk through the gate, I hit him on WhatsApp, right? He came to the house maybe 2 days later. After that, we ended up connecting. I set up an appointment for him to come do the massage. And when he did the massage, Lauren, when I tell you, it was one, excuse my language, one fucking amazing massage.
Yeah.
That when I realized how much I was paying for, so Joe, she know where I'm getting ready to go. When I realized how much I paid for that massage, Lauren, we had like 6 or 7 days left on the vacation. I called him back every other day.
Yeah. Yeah.
I called him back every other day, because I couldn't believe how good he was at doing the massage, and how much I paid for it.
Yeah.
So right then and there, I'm always about giving somebody an opportunity, or seeing their value, right? I said, damn, this boy would make a killing if he were in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Doing what he doing, because one massage that I would pay for is like close to maybe $200 for 90 minutes, when you can get about 6 of those from him
every day.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So and it's crazy. Like my 2 favorite aunts, because I brought them here for the first time, one got a massage last night, and another one got a reflexology massage, and they both been telling me, and we went to dinner, but when we was trying to connect earlier, and they said, so when we get to Durban, you're gonna give me like 2 massages, right? It's
so funny. I feel like a massage, like how often it is affordable to get a massage, is almost like a metric you could use for quality of life in a place. Because one of my favorite things about being in Bali is that you can get massages every single day. Like, it's so affordable. And I get massages like every other day. You said reflexology. I got the best reflexology massage right before I left. Like, it's just like, you're just like, life is good when you're just getting all the knots worked out. It's great.
So my question is, doing that every single day, like, do you get like carpal tunnel? Or like, how do your hands do that all day long? Is that like a 9 to 5? Like, how do you?
You know what? You know what? So let me say this. He explained to me that like he does these massages a lot every day or every other day, and when his body feels stressed out from doing these massages is because Joe he's inadvertently taking stress and energy off of people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's kind of absorbing it into himself, right? So to your point, he has to get a massage from somebody he trusts that does it just as professional as he does, and it's like the transfer of energy. That's all it is. When we look at it in a grand scheme of things, it's releasing the stress and transfer of energy.
Yeah.
So he swears by getting massages himself to make him available to be able to give somebody a accurate, a professional massage who's tensed up and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So he is when I say the bomb, I mean the bomb. Anybody that's coming to South Africa, or I know that's coming to South Africa, Johannesburg, I give them his phone number, and they can't wait to get it done again. They really can't wait to get it done again. I say, yeah, he's the bomb.
Real quick, want to give a shout out to Flavio for stopping by. Mark, obviously putting a joke out there, says he rode in on his donkey to come stop by. And then financial firefighter.
Are they doing a live?
They got off a little earlier.
Oh, okay.
About 30 minutes ago, yeah. So they stopped by. So Mark, want to give you a shout out. I was talking about me striking you out in Vegas this upcoming February. So there's a real estate conference, Norman, called One Rental at a Time. So Michael Zuber built up a portfolio of real estate, started doing YouTube, never edited any videos, and I think he's at like, I don't know, 70,000 subscribers, whatever, but he's just built up a network, and all real estate investors, it's all kind of just, hey, getting into your next rental, what does it take? A lot of these people are on the West Coast, so where it's very expensive, and they're buying real estate in the Midwest where it's more affordable. It's just a whole real estate community. Lauren, are you in ORAD or no? Officially? Are you in the school or no?
I'm not.
Okay. I'm not either. Not yet. Mark keeps poking me to get in there. Those three.
But I'll go to the conference.
Yeah. So I'm gonna show up and I'm gonna strike out Mark on a baseball field from both sides, right-handed and left-handed. So the whole dating scene, like, this is new for me. I'd never been on an app in my entire life until, last however many months. And when I think about this, like, there's just no flow of information. You think about the internet and, the stock market, there's just all this free flow of exchange of information, right? Connecting the dots. The dating scene, there's no free flow of information. It's very clunky. The dating apps, they have, what's the word? They throttle the information. They only give you a little bit at a time, which I guess that's probably intentional. But when you go out, you don't know when someone's going to be there in a bar or whenever. But there's no free flow of energy. So, do you guys have any ideas? Again, Norman, you're married, so you don't really care. But.
Well, I might be married. I still have the mind. Listen, I was single a long time before I got married, so half of my mind is still single.
Yeah, well, I think Norman's advice is probably the only advice we should take, because he is married. So he found someone. Like, I don't know if you want to take a perpetually single person's advice on how to meet someone.
And look, I would just say just get out there and live and be as free as you can, and you'll attract that right person by your energy. That's the best. I mean, I could be as raw as I can be on this podcast, right, Joe?
100%. That's what I was here for.
Okay, well, there you go. All right. Look, fuck them, duck them, and leave them alone. Ain't nobody got to know. Do what you got to do, and listen. You'll know when the right one. You'll know when the right one comes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you'll know. You'll definitely know. And it comes when you're not really looking for it, though. Honestly, it'll catch you off guard. It'll catch you off guard.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts, Lauren?
I mean, I agree. Like my last relationship, I was like, I don't want to, I'm not interested in dating. I'm just enjoying my life. I'm having so much fun. I feel like, I mean, Joel, you probably can attest to this because you're just coming out the other side that like after like being in the wrong relationship and having to go through like a breakup is so much worse to me than just being more careful, being single and being more careful about who you get into a relationship with. So I think I'm more selective of like who I really give my like who I would actually even consider. Like probably the people in my 20s that I was dating or that I was considering, I already knew they weren't the right fit. I was like, but whatever, we're having fun. We'll just see where it goes. And you see where it goes. And then all of a sudden you're like, man, we've been together for like 6 months. And this is not a person I thought I saw potential with on day one. So I feel like just enjoy your life. Yeah, I'm just enjoying my life and having fun and traveling. And I really enjoy my singleness. Like, I enjoy having my freedom and doing what I want when I want. Like, there's value in being in a relationship and there's value being single. And I love my life and I love my friends and I have great support around me and like fun things to do. So, I'm okay with being single and like if I meet a person, then I meet a person. But if not, then at this point I'm happy doing my thing.
Yeah, yeah. I felt like that honestly, Lauren, from 2013, well, from 2014 up to I'm gonna say, well, this December will be a year that we've got been married, right? But even in the process of getting to know him, like I love being single. Like going through, let's say, two relationships and being single, right? Like I loved every bit of being single. I really, really did. And until I met him and I said, you know what? This is a person that I can really love with no limits. And vice
Mhm.
versa. So that like every time I know I'm coming to South Africa, like we both are anxious to see each other, right? And it's like wow. Now somebody said to me, well, you think it'll be different when you all are living together? I said it may be different, but I'm already open to the change. You know what I mean? I'm open
Yeah.
to the change. I'm open to the unknown. Um, and that's just life.
Yeah. Can I
So
ask you a question? Do you feel safe as like a gay man expressing yourself in South Africa? Like how safe is it to be there and be openly gay?
very South Africa is very acceptable of openly gay. Like they have a you should Google their gay pride in October. It's amazing. They have like
That's so cool.
to me, I feel like it's like a DC.
Hmm.
I feel like it's like it's like a like a center. It's just like DC. I feel like it's just like DC. They have had instances where they had straight men, straight South African, like the little hoodlums, get on the gay sites to lure in the gay men
Mm.
to rob them. You know,
Hmm.
they have had that, but to me, it's like it's the same exact thing. I'm not meeting nobody off there, right?
Yeah.
So so I'm probably not gonna be one to encounter that.
Yeah. And
You
what
know,
about for women? Do you think it's safe also for gay women, or is there it's the same both ways?
I'm a, I'm gonna say the gay women don't really have much of those gay sites like the gay men have.
Mm.
I think the gay men have much more access to like the gay sites than the women do. I think the women use like Snapchat and all those like the rep stuff, to
Yeah.
meet. Um, but just being gay in South Africa is really big and is really acceptable.
Okay.
Like you should like I'm amazed every time I come here, and then you see some straight men that look gay but they not gay.
Yeah.
It's just their the way they dress is,
Or they just don't know yet.
yeah, they just don't know yet.
Yeah, I do love to ask those questions because two of my friends here in Florida, they're gay. I'm going out to dinner with them tonight, and I really wanted them to come visit me in Bali, and they were nervous because they were like, "Oh, Indonesia, I don't know." But I was like, "No, I'm telling you, Bali, nobody cares about anything. Like you can do whatever you want. Nobody cares." So it's always like traveling. I feel like my friends who haven't been to a place beforehand, they're always curious, like, okay, how's it going to be? How are we, are we going to have to pretend like we're not gay, or are we going to be able to like just live our life and not have to worry about it? And South Africa is such a cool place, like such a unique, interesting country, just as far as like the nature and the wildlife and everything. I feel like it's a place that everybody should go. So I'm happy to hear that it's like a place that I can say like across the board, yes, it's safe for anyone to
Very
go
gay,
there.
very gay friendly. Johannesburg, Cape Town, Durban, like, and those are the places I've been to, but just like I had did my research on South Africa before coming, because honestly, that's always at the front of my mind. If I go to this place, how gay friendly is it, right? So there's a gay site that you can get on, that I guess your friends can get on and see the reviews from other gay people that have gone to these other countries to see how they felt, right? I'll find it and send it to Joe. And it just give reviews on just being gay in that country as a visitor.
How does it compare to, say, Nigeria? Because Nigeria, 220 million people, it's growing at a fast pace. Like, how does that compare to South Africa?
I would say, even so, I talked to my husband about that, right? He said that in Nigeria, they do it, but it's really on the low. It's like on the low, because it's really looked at as a crime there. So I feel like being flamboyant in Nigeria would be scary for a gay person. That's how I'm just throwing it out there. That's my perception and my thoughts on it. But again, I would have to do more research as a gay man to see where I should be if I ever decided to eventually go there. And in Ghana as well too. Like I do my research before I go to these African countries. Now, I never had an issue in Egypt. I never had an issue. Morocco, beautiful. Never had an issue. But traveling to South Africa, I was just curious. But after going, this being my 5th time, I realized that a lot of those other parts of Africa kind of migrate there for the gay rights and the freedom.
Norman, I got a question for you. So you met your husband, right? And had an initial kind of reaction, like, okay, cool, this is a certain kind of person. When did you know that you were going to marry him? Or when did you know that was the person?
I'm going to say, Joe, it was last year, June, for my birthday. Last year, June, for my birthday. I realized, every time I talk to him, I say, I check these boxes off before I decided to ask you for me to marry you, or us to get married. It was his morals, his values, how much he loved his mother, right? That was really the top of it all. And just the process of getting to know him and seeing how authentic he is, right? He don't, like, he tells me stuff he don't even have to tell me. Just how forthcoming he is. It's just like, I wouldn't have never got that in my past relationships. And honestly, I probably wouldn't have never given that in my last relationships. right? But I just think as we grow and evolve, and as we get to learn ourselves in a better way, we learn to be true really to ourselves and anybody that's trying to come into our lives and love us.
Yeah, dude. There's a video that I saw. Someone asked a question to a speaker about like, a breakup and missing that person and talking about the relationship isn't a them thing. It's a internal thing. They open up spaces for you to love yourself in a certain way. It's all internal. It's not external. It's like, oh, I get it. I beginning to understand that kind of thing. So
yeah, that is the most important. I think the loving yourself unconditionally, no matter what obstacles come your way, it just like life is going to throw us things that we not expecting to get. And when the shit throws our way, we have to just suck it up. Like I this is what I believe. I believe that everything happens for a reason. I have learned to live in a way to expect the unexpected. And all of this shit kind of like happened when my mom passed, right? It's like, damn, I thought my mother would live forever, right? But she's been gone for 16 years. And right after she died, I didn't know how life was going to be for me, right? But I've learned to figure out a way to properly grieve. And I learned that through my love and joy for traveling internationally and learning and meeting other cultures. That is what brought me joy.
interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Yeah, because I mean, I can't remember who was talking about this. The loving yourself unconditionally. There's so many forces out there that are going against you externally, and if you're rolling that same boat against yourself, like you have no shot. You have to be the one that takes care of yourself unconditionally. Lauren, I was going to ask you this question before. I almost forgot. So you mentioned dating a guy 6 months, it's fun, but he's not a long-term partner. Is it 1 second in when you meet a guy that he's not the long-term? Is it a day, a week, a date? Like, when do you typically know, like, yeah, this is going to be fun, but it's not going to be the one?
I mean, I don't know if there's like any time period. I think they're different. Like, people are always showing you who they are. And this goes back to what you were saying earlier when I said like, oh, you're an introverted extrovert. Like, people, if you're listening, you really can learn so much about somebody in few moments. And so but some people, are opening up at different rates. So I feel like sometimes in the first moment, you're like, oh yeah, this is not a good person for me to be with. But then sometimes it takes, a few dates or a few weeks of knowing them and you go, oh, you actually aren't very good at like processing your emotions or things like that, where I'm like, oh, I don't know if that's somebody that I would see myself in a long-term relationship with. So I think it depends. It's a case by case basis, but I do think that like pretty early on, you can know if this person's right for you, if you're really listening and not being distracted. Like, if somebody's really attractive and you're just like, oh my gosh, this person's so attractive. Like, it can almost be a distraction to all of those little red flags that are coming up. So it's about not ignoring things because you want this person to be something for you, or you're pedestalizing them, and then you're turning a blind eye to the things that they're actually showing you.
And that's the thing, is that like, turning the blind eye, like there's this kind of delicate balance. Like, now we have all these apps and social media, so people, want to be able to get to the next thing. I think that there's going to be something better on the other side. So you have this kind of disconnect in the dating scene, and there's so in that regard, in terms of information, there's a lot of flow of information on certain things, but in certain regards of actual interpersonal relationships is I feel like not a free flow of information. So, I look at my journey now. Now I've got, a unique schedule, right? I have my kids half the time. And so like the things I do with work or going out or whatever, I have a truncated amount of time. So it's like, how am I going to meet somebody with this little bit of time that I have? And then it's like this battle of rushing, but you don't want to rush things because you want to do things the right way. So like there's just like this weird imbalance in my world. Like, what do you guys see in your world?
Well, Joe, what you should do, you should get into hot yoga.
That is so true,
dude. I don't know exactly what it is, but I have arthritis in my back, so I need that. Tell me about it.
You would be really amazed at the energy that comes through and out of a yoga session.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
never done it before.
Okay. And your next everything might just be in hot yoga.
All right.
I've been doing hot yoga, and I can tell you I'm distracted in this. The women are incredible. They're so strong. It's the same as like a female. If you're into men being at a real estate conference, it's like there's so many men there. The same is true for yoga, hot yoga, or Pilates. Like if you want to meet a woman there, they're all there.
They all there, and less of you will be there, Joe. So there's really no competition.
No competition.
All right.
And look,
I get into a class tomorrow. That's going to be my my search on my engine here on Google.
Yeah, definitely hit. Go to hot yoga. Just a beautiful thing.
Such good advice.
I'll let you guys know. All right. Well, again, it's Friday. Thank you guys for making time. This is a lot of fun. Norman, I'm glad you're able to make it.
Yeah, thank you.
One thing that you missed in the first part that I love this story. Lauren literally plopped herself in foreign countries, Southeast Asia at age 20, early 20s, kind of going against the grain. And I asked her, what gave you the confidence of safety to go do that? And what was your response again, Lauren?
I think I didn't feel that safe. I just went for it. Like I just trusted that everything would work out for me. Like I felt like I couldn't let the fear of what could go wrong hold me back from doing it. And I just had to go there and figure it out. I also feel like as Americans, we're so much more afraid to travel. Safety is our number one concern. And as I've traveled, I've realized that pretty much everywhere is safe comparative to the US. We're as safe everywhere else as we are here. And if people are living there, then you're pretty much safe. Like if it's a place that's really unsafe, it's really actually hard to get to it. So I've felt safe. And as a female traveling alone, I mean, don't be going and getting blacked out drunk. That's not smart. But as long as you've got your wits about you and you're smart, you're safe. Like it's fine. So yeah, I feel like you gotta go for it. And that's what I've learned after the fact. Of course, I didn't know that at first. And I was like, I don't know, I might die. I'm not sure, but it's worth it.
Cool. So after that experience, it kind of became repetitive for you to just go for it.
Yeah. I mean, I pretty much traveled all of my 20s. I would just come back to the US, make enough money to go travel again. And then I would leave and stretch that money as far as I could and do that again and again. And last year I spent I've pretty much decided like Bali's kind of like my place. I have great community there. And so that'll be like a place where I feel like I'll go back to a lot, but I still want to travel. There's still so many places I want to discover. When I was in South Africa, I really wanted to go to Botswana and Namibia, and I didn't have enough time. So I feel like I'll go back and do that at some point too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Norman, last question for you. If someone said, hey, I want to get into real estate as an agent right now, in this market right now, let's say they were age 30, had a 9-to-5 job, I want to get into real estate right now. What's your advice?
I would advise them to get into it. Yeah, I would advise them to get into it. I wouldn't really discourage anybody to get into real estate. I mean, I feel like when I came in, I had, of course, missed the market crash era, but I had became friends with a lot of agents who, went through that time and came out of it just fine, and up until the point where I became a real estate agent in 2013. So I feel like it's really never too late. I'm sure everybody that decides to get in there right now, they will eventually find their niche. Find what it is that they love. Uh, and I mean, again, the field is so broad. There's so much you can do within the real estate field. We never get bored.
Well, that's for sure.
Yeah,
Never.
so I would encourage him. I would encourage anybody to get into it.
Have you been doing real estate stuff while being in South Africa as far as like your clients back home?
Yes, I just had a closing uh yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. Yeah, I'm always working when I'm out of the country, but I feel like it's okay because I have people lined up. Like I have agents, close friends that's agents, and they say, you know, just let me know if you need me to show a house. Of course, I have a couple listings in one in Maryland and one in DC right now. So I get the emails when they schedule them. I approve them. I get the feedback to send to my seller. So it's really like I'm home in DC area working, even though I'm fucking in South Africa, all the way in South Africa.
That's great to hear,
So,
because one of the reasons why I was like, oh, I don't know if I could ever be an agent is because I always felt like you're so tied down to a place, but you're really flipping that script.
is as free as a plane flying through the sky. We can really go, and that's what I realized, Lauren. I said, just going anywhere, we could still do business. See, my plan really honestly is in the next 3 years, like buy something this year in South Africa, rent it out on Airbnb, eventually retire in 3 years at the age of 50, move over here full time, right? All of my referral business is going to come from the DMV area, which is a good piece of change when I look at it in a year's time. Like 99% of my business is referral based.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm always going to get calls. I'm always going to even look. And this is funny. Even while I was over here, Joe had a referral for me.
Nope.
Like the second or third second day we were here, Joe said, "Hey Norman, I got a buyer." Right.
Mm-hmm.
So of course I had my partner back home to. I said, "Look, you can send them to Rebecca. She'll handle them." It's just building those relationships home will help me in the long run when I transition here.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The dollar's stronger there. You go to a Starbucks and order a drink, and that Americanized voice, they want to hear it again. So what's stopping you from running Facebook ads on real estate for people to buy? Ads in South Africa for South Africans to buy from you real estate.
So that's a part of the plan. So the agent that I know over here, we supposed to be going out to dinner before I leave here on Tuesday. I think we're gonna do it like Sunday or Monday. So we're gonna have like a sit down as to what I need to do to get started for getting my real estate stuff here. That's because I'll be here. I'll be going through, but I'll be coming back, and I think there's a chance that I might stay to the middle of July. I haven't kind of determined that yet, but most likely it might be to the middle of July, and that's just to kind of get everything I need, so when I go back home, I can kind of start implementing those things. But I'm with you on the Facebook ads and stuff like that, Joe. Like I'm here. I feel like this is where I belong at this stage in my life and moving forward. That like I'm sitting in a damn parking lot right now, y'all, like with the light on in the car, and I don't have to worry about nobody walking up knocking on my window.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like, and I might have looked to the side a couple of times, is only because you got these people driving like the Uber scooters, right, delivering food, and some people just closing up. But like, yeah, like, yeah. Now I wouldn't be doing this if I was home. I probably would be in the house on Wi-Fi, you know. Yeah, but yeah, I'm here for it. It just it makes all the sense. It makes all the sense when I look at what some of these let's just say like investors into South Africa, whether they're South African people that have moved to another city like Cape Town and they own property here that they putting on Airbnb. Most of the properties that I stayed in, that they're owned by either South Africans or people from Zimbabwe. And they are renting them out. They paying a gardener, a maid, this amount of much money to do an amazing damn job, to the point of we stay tipping them extra because it's just a convenience that they give us when they do like hotel like stuff at the house.
Yeah.
So it's, now I've never been to Bali before, but that's definitely on the bucket list.
Yeah. It's also similar in the way that the service is incredible there, and they're so happy to have you there, and they love tourism, and yeah, you can just live a really great life. Great food, massages every day, just live it the lifestyle. It just feels so healthy and so low stress.
What is the currency difference?
It's for $1, it's about 16.5 of their dollar.
Oh, okay. So it's similar to South Africa then.
Yeah, I would say South Africa's a little cheaper. Bali was cheaper, but I would say it's gotten so popular that rent of the villas, like the really nice villas, has gone up a lot in certain areas. But food and massages and all of that is still really affordable.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. Well,
if I come to South Africa, I'm going to let you know.
Look, you well, yeah, we'll set that up, Lauren. Look, when I get the Airbnb, you'll be the first person to get to stay in.
I would love that.
Yes, I listen. It's I keep speaking it into existence, so I know it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah, I got more questions for you. Building, your husband's a builder. Like, what's that like?
Oh, he's a builder, Joe. He has the connections in Nigeria with people who build, and like he's showing me the videos, and then sometimes since I've been here, he's been on like live with them. They can't see me on camera because I'm standing on the side of him where they can't see me, but I'm looking at them showing him the process of what they're doing, because he's here in Johannesburg and they like 6 hours away by plane, right? And he's telling, it's from Nigeria to here 6 hours.
Shit. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm just looking at him, and he telling them how he wanted. It's crazy. It's really crazy. I didn't even know that he had all that going on until really a year after getting to know him.
Would you guys be down to do this again in a couple weeks? I'll give you my updates on my hot yoga and my meditation practices, and talk about Nigerian building and Lauren's dating life and me being single and Norman doing deals from South Africa. So much to dig into here. So, no. Yeah,
2 weeks is fine. By that time, Joe, I'll be in Durban. So we could set another day.
In 2 weeks I'm going to be in Japan.
Oh,
even better. Show us the landscape. Even better.
Maybe when I get back from Japan.
I hear the Wi-Fi is really good at though.
I mean, maybe if we can figure out a time zone thing. I mean, you know how it is. I'm taking my niece for her graduation trip
Okay.
to Japan. So we're only going to be there for like just under 2 weeks.
Cool.
So when
We'll
you're traveling
figure
around
something
like
out.
that, it's very like on the go.
Yeah.
I'm open. Just let me know.
Yeah, if it works out, cool. If not, no big deal. But no, I love this conversation. I love it. Real estate, man. There's just something about real estate where you have people that are elevating at a higher thought process and frequency because you're trying to get out of the matrix. You know, that's what it's all about for me.
Yeah.
Just to have control. We'll have more time control. So I love this shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Joe, hopefully too, the next time you set something up, I'll make sure that I get my guy Darren here, the real estate agent, to kind of join us in. Join in. So I mean, whatever, from a real estate standpoint here in South Africa, he could really give you the bare bones of like what's really going on. And I know he's been telling me the market is hot, and I've been seeing on that Property 24 website I told you all about.
Mm-hmm.
I've been watching it, and I've been seeing how stuff is on the market. Then it says contract pending, and then it says sold. I've been watching. So people are really buying up those 2-bedroom houses, 2-bedroom condos. They really buying it up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Can't wait to hear more about that stuff. All right, y'all.
Yeah.
Well, anything else?
We'll save it for next time.
Woo! Good shit. Thank you guys for making time. Happy Friday. Norman's going to sleep soon. Maybe not, but good shit.
Great chatting with you, Norman. I loved hearing about your life in South Africa.
Thank you. Same to you.
All right.
All right.
See y'all.
Bye, guys.
Okay. Take care. Be safe.